Stephanie, and thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making Valentine's Day cards, and I'm going to show you how to make not one, not two, but three. Three lovely, quick and easy Valentine's Day cards. So you know the drill. Come on, let's get started. For our first card we're going to be making today, we're going to be using some red cardstock, some white cardstock, and then some designer series paper. This heart was cut out of some designer series paper, and I'll show you how we did that in a few minutes. But to get started, the base of our card, this is going to be an A2 size card. An A2 size card is taken from a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and you cut that in the middle at 5.5, and so then you would get 2 pieces of cardstock from an 8.5 by 11. So you can technically make 2 cards from 1 piece of cardstock. Okay, but the one card here is going to measure you 8.5 by 5.5 because we cut it in half, and now we're going to score it so that we can get a line down the middle here to crease the card, and you're going to score it at 4 1/4. So you just make a line like that. Next, we're going to take the card and we're going to fold it, and then you'll take a bone folder and then just varnish that. And so there you have the base for your card. Okay, so now the next step we're going to do is we're going to attach a layer onto this card. And when we attach a layer onto the card, we have a piece of white cardstock, and I've cut 2 of these exactly the same because and the dimensions on these are 4 by 5 1/4, and so one is going to be the top layer in here, and then the other one is going to be in the middle of the card, in the inside of the card, so that you can write your greeting or stamp your message on the inside. So we'll go ahead and attach those, and right here I just have some sticky tape, double-sided sticky tape, and this is something that I purchased from Amazon, but we'll just go on ahead and attach that to the front. And you'll just want to take it and you'll just want to kind of center it so that you have an even border around the sides and the bottom. Okay. And then we'll go on ahead and attach that middle piece. It's also the inside of the card, which is also 4 by 5 1/4. And that just gives you, it's just taking off like 1/4 of an inch to kind of give you a little border on the inside. Okay. So now we have the inside done and the top. So next I took a piece of designer series paper. This is some old paper I had. I used to be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I acquired a lot of cardstock and designer series paper. So from time to time, when I create videos, a lot of that will be what I'm using. But this piece of designer series paper measures 4 1/4 by 2 inches. And what we're going to do is put some adhesive on there, and then we're going to adhere it to the left-hand side of the card. Okay, so we just want to butt that up toward the left-hand side of the card, and we'll lay that down as such. And then we have this little heart, which also comes from a piece of designer series paper. And this is, it came 12 by 12. I used some of it already, so this is what we have left. But what you do, this was also a Stampin' Up! Product. They have a paper punch, and it is They made a lot of their materials they have where they have designer series paper, and sometimes they'll have produce a paper punch that'll match up with the designer series paper. So that's what this set is right here. And what I do is I would just take the punch, turn it upside down so that I can see what I'm doing, line it up here, and then just give it a punch. And so that's how we got that little heart, by doing that with the designer series paper and the paper punch. Okay, so next we're going to stamp our little sentiment on here, and also stamp a sentiment on the inside of the card. And the sentiment that I'll be using today comes from an old Simon Says stamp set, and this was, I believe, Be My Valentine. I believe this came out in 2021. You can go to simonsaysstamp.com and see if they still have it, but it's called the Be My Valentine set. And so what we're going to use to stamp here, and some of these stamps are too big to fit in the inside, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half. And so I think for the inside, I'm going to use the Happy Valentine's Day. So let's go ahead and get that. And so this is what I have. This is called a block, a stamping block. And what you do is you'll place your stamp on here, and you kind of want to use the grid lines on here to line it up so that it's straight. And then what I do is I'll just take a scrap piece of paper, and I always test first before I put it on the product. So what you'll do is you'll take an ink pad. This is a VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I find that works really good for sentiments. It's dark and it's pretty much clear. And so what you'll do is just tap. Make sure, I always look to make sure that the whole stamp is covered in ink. That looks good. Just a little bit on the L. And then you press. You don't wiggle your stamp. You just press and pull straight up. And that's your sentiment. So we'll go ahead and put that on the inside of the card. It says Happy Valentine's Day. Okay. And I'm just going to place this up here. And leave room to write your own little personal message there. Just hold it for a few seconds, let the ink transfer, and lift straight up. And there you have it. So let's go ahead and let's put a sentiment on the little heart, and then we're going to attach the heart with some dimensionals to give it some dimension on here, and that'll be our first card complete. So I'm just going to take a little paper towel and kind of wipe this off a little bit, some of that ink off there, because I'm going to need this. So we'll remove that, and then the sentiment that I'm going to put on here is going to be, it says, I love you forever and always. So I'm going to go ahead and put that and use the grid mark to line it up. We're going to go ahead and tap to ink that up. And then I'm going to test it. There we go. That looks good to me. So now I'm just going to tap it again. Line that up, press, hold, and release. There we have it. I'll give that a few seconds to dry. And then we're going to use some adhesive. It's double-sided tape, but it has a dimension to it. And I believe I got this at the Dollar Tree. It's they're little square foams, and they're sticky on both sides. So when I take it off of the roll, I'm going to go ahead and place it on the middle of the heart. Then I'm going to go ahead and remove the paper, and then I'm going to center it in the middle There you have it. And so there we have our first card. You can add embellishments if you like. I have some little foam dots, Emmanuel dots here that are self-adhesive. So I'm going to take maybe one and put it there. And for me, it's an eye thing, and so I always like to do odd numbers when I place the little enamel dots. And then we have some pink ones too. So maybe I'll place one. I'll place one there. And then maybe I'll do a big one down here. Okay, so there we have it. That's our first card. Okay, moving along to our second card. Our second card, I've gone on ahead because the ink, when I did the first card, the VersaFine ink, it takes a little minute to dry, and I didn't want to smear any of the hearts or the sentiment on there. So I went on ahead and stamped that, pre-stamped it ahead of time. But we'll go ahead and assemble the card. So when I stamped this was one stamp. It fit in there. It fit inside the space. This stamp, I Adore You, it fit inside the space. This stamp, when I pulled it out, it was one long strip, and it said My One and Only. So what I did is, in between the one and the and on the stamp, I clipped it in half and placed it on the block, My One and Only, underneath it, and lined it up, and that was how I got that. That was what I was telling you about when I said I was going to cut it. Okay, so this is the second card, and we're going to be using a pink for our base. And once again, the measurements are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's that one sheet of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock cut directly in half. We'll place it on our scoreboard, and we're going to score this at 4 1/4 to give us an even fold. We're going to fold that card again. Use the bone folder and varnish. That just gives it a deep crease, helps the card stay closed on there, okay? For this card, we're also going to be using some designer series paper. It is going to actually be the back side of the one that we used on the first card. And so we're going to do some layering. We have 2 pieces. One is in white. It's 4 by 5 1/4, and then we have a red piece that is 4 by 5 1/4 as well. One's going to go on the top, and the other one is going to be on the inside of the card so that we can put our greeting or salutation. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take some of that tape, adhesive tape, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to center this one in the middle of the card. And then we're going to go ahead and take that second piece for the inside layer. I'm going to place that in there. And then this designer series paper, this was cut so that you'll have a border. So you just take it down 1/4 of an inch. So this was 4 by 5 1/4, the red was. So this is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. And so that'll give us a 1/4 inch border again. So it kind of goes down each time you take 1/4 of an inch off. So we'll go ahead and place this on there. And make sure that if you're using designer series cardstock that has a pattern on it, that your pattern, when you cut it, your pattern, so the hearts, I didn't want to have it and cut it so my hearts were facing this way. You want to make sure that your pattern is corresponding to the way you want your card to be. And so with these, I'm not going to puff them up or anything. I'm just going to go ahead and attach them. And so I have 2 pink and a red. So what I wanted to do was take the 2 pink and put the red in the middle. So I'm going to angle them and they're going to come down, and I'm going to start with that pink one up here, my one and only. And then I'm going to take the red one and we're going to put that one in the middle. And then we're going to take that last pink one, I Adore You. And we're going to place that there. Okay. So there you have the front of this one. And once again, you can embellish it if you like, with the enamel dots or something else if you prefer. I do want to put Happy Valentine's Day in here. So once again, I mounted that on my block using my grid marks. I'm going to stamp it. Make sure that that's inked up good. Place it at the top. Let it sit for a second. And there we have a boo-boo. You see that? I didn't let it sit long enough, or either I did not have the ink on there. But no worries. You can try if you like to. This is why some people use stamping platforms. And what that is, I'll show you and demonstrate that in another video next time. But what that is it's a little stamping platform, and before you would attach this base in here, you would put that in the stamping platform. You would mount your stamp up there, and it's like a little hinge, and it comes down. So therefore, if this happened and there was not enough ink, the card is still positioned in place, and you would just ink up in the stamping platform. You would just put some more ink on the stamp and bring it back down, and it would fill it in. But this one, I'm gonna try to line it back up. If it doesn't, this is my bloop. I do believe in putting, excuse my head if it's in the frame there, I do believe in leaving in my bloops because we're human and sometimes things happen. So I am going to try my best to line that up. Not bad. It'll work. Okay. And so there we have card number 2. So card number 3, we're going to get a little bit more difficult in skill level. This is not an opening card. This is going to be, it is an opening card, but it's not, it doesn't have, it doesn't open up like a book, okay? So on this one, You're going to cut a piece of cardstock. In this case, I'm using the red, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So what it is it's the front of a card base. It's the same size, but it's just one. It doesn't open up, okay? And so then I would like layers on it. So we're going to take a piece of pink cardstock and we're going to put this on top. And this pink cardstock is cut at 5 1/4 by 4. So once again, we're taking about a quarter of an inch off to give it a border look, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and place that on there. You kind of want to center it. Okay, and so then this is going to be a border as well. This is a piece of red cardstock, and this one is cut at 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. And so we're going to take that and we're going to center that. This was cut off. There was a little bit more that was cut off there because we're trying to give it a type of different type of look, like a window look here. So we're going to center that the best we can on here. And then we're going to take a piece of designer series paper. Once again, you want to make sure that your pattern is coordinating the right way with your cardstock. And then this piece I have is cut at 6 by 4. And so with it being 6 by 4, we're going to take it and we're going to fold it in half. Now you can use the scoreboard, but for the sake of this, I'm just going to go ahead and fold it and crease it with the bone folder. And so this is where the part of the card that's going to open and close, okay? And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put adhesive, but I'm only gonna put it on the back side of the card. And this is what I was talking about, making sure that it corresponds, okay? So that these are vertical. So then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna center that in between that red mat that's on there the best that I can, okay? And so this is the part of the card that folds up, and this is where you'll put your salutation in there. And so then the last piece of cardstock is gonna be a mat in here so that you can place your greeting or salutation in here. And so this piece is cut at 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. And it's just enough to give you room to put a little greeting in there, okay? And so we're gonna place that. I put a little bit too much adhesive close to the edge here, so I do not want the card to be shut. So I'm just folding that adhesive back onto the back of the paper so that it doesn't make the card stay shut once I lay it down. Okay, so now we're just going to center this. In the middle of that card, and I'm going to take my greeting once again. It says Happy Valentine's Day. This time I'm going to make sure that I have enough ink on here the first time. And then I'm going to hold it a little longer. And there we have it. Card number 3. And if there was something personal that you wanted to put on there, you can actually cut another piece of cardstock, white cardstock, 4 1/4 by 5, and I think it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/4, and put it on here, and you can actually write something or whatever if you wanted to on that. But this is a different type of card, and so that's going to be card number 3. So those are our 3 cards that we created today. I do not like to send out naked envelopes. So what I'm going to do for these envelopes is place a stamp on there, and I think I'm going to use the little Cupid stamp. Just wiping off this Happy Valentine's Day. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pull out the Cupid, the little Cupid stamp. I think that'll be cute. And we'll go ahead and stamp a Cupid on these cards. So I'm going to put my Cupid on here. I definitely want to test that out. And sometimes when you have new stamps, they have to be conditioned. If you just take your hand, these are photopolymer, so you would just take your hand before you ink it, of course, and rub it over the stamp a little bit, and that would help the ink to adhere a little better. And it's only because it's new. So they have to be conditioned. But I'm going to take this Cupid, and then down here in the bottom, I need to put a piece of scrap paper down here just in case. I don't want to get my table messed up on there. So then I'm just going to take that, and down here in the bottom, doesn't have to cover the whole full of the envelope, so just place it down here. And there you have it. And it's just something to give the card a little pizzazz. You know, you can put your return address and address it there, and then your card will fit inside there. Okay? So there we have it, guys. We did 3 cards today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what you've seen today, make sure that you hit that like button for me. And if you want to subscribe, I'd love to have you as a follower. If you hit the little bell down below, it'll let you know every time I upload new content. New content is uploaded on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Until next time, guys, have a blessed day. Thank you.